Hi, I'm Corinne, and this is Free Press Fail. This week, the government is making me hate them even more than they normally do, which is saying quite a bit. So, last week, Tucker Carlson reported that the NSA had been spying on him. A whistleblower reached out and said, hey, this is happening. Tucker believed them, so he reported it. Then, the NSA denied it in a terribly weak statement that all but confirmed that it was true. They were intentionally vague to say that he was not the target of surveillance, but they never denied spying on him, which made anyone with half a brain and a slight paranoia towards the government, specifically towards the NSA, a little bit suspicious. Now, it's only been a week, and we've got proven sources in the ironically named intelligence community that have been leaking the contents of the emails to members of the press, who are such good people, by the way, that they continued to accept the leaks rather than reporting the offense. Probably hoping they'd get something personal and it'd be a huge break for them. Maybe a text between Tucker and his wife, or an interesting exchange between Tucker and his brother, who always seemed like a lot of fun to me. But instead, they just kept getting emails from Tucker doing his job. I'm sure this was incredibly disappointing to the reporters and to the NSA, who apparently thought these emails were as big a bombshell as finding a fully assembled Lego set of the Capitol building in a rioter's home. But it's not more disappointing than the absolute train wreck that our nation has become, since apparently every executive branch bureaucrat has decided they are now the oligarchs who can use our taxpayer-funded resources to take on anyone they feel like. For all this talk about Russia, the media is really missing the big story on the Soviet-level stuff. Of course, the NSA now claims that Tucker's emails were intercepted because he was in contact with a Russian target who intended to set him up with Vladimir Putin for an interview. But here's the problem with that. Even if Tucker was literally best friends with Putin, it is not lawful to spy on and leak info of an American citizen. They could have matching outfits and plans for a girls' trip to Miami, and that still wouldn't authorize them to spy on Tucker. A FISA warrant only very specifically applies to the surveillance of foreign actors' communications. But the NSA was leaking emails sent from Tucker to Tucker's producer, two very clearly not Russian parties. No surprise, these FISA warrants have been abused in the past. They used the same trick to go after members of the Trump campaign in 2016. This is not the first time, and it definitely won't be the last if we're going by what the deep state enablers are saying right now. Liberal journalists and lawmakers and a bunch of neocons trying desperately to stay relevant have totally rushed to the defense of the NSA, as if the NSA needs or cares about their support. They don't. They're all screaming to all 5 of their Twitter followers that Tucker deserved it. If I ever supported someone getting canceled for something, it is this. This is so un-American, this idea that political adversaries no longer deserve the protection of the Constitution. And this is apparently just a common thing with liberals now. Tucker deserves to be spied on because he's a Republican. Rudy Giuliani should lose his job because he's a Republican. Ashley Babbitt's shooter should never be brought to justice because Ashley is a Republican. Apparently, rights do not apply to anyone who has owned or been in the room with someone who owns a MAGA hat. That's why every single person in our media and our government who has declared Trump the enemy has somehow managed to excuse every unlawful action against the former president and all of his supporters. Fake warrants, spying, leaking private data, armed raids, murder, anything is okay with them. They feel so justified in their offense because they truly believe they are right and the right is wrong. With that level of self-righteousness so apparent now, is it even really hard to believe that these same people would steal the election? I'm more convinced than ever.